Thank you so much for coming, and it's so exciting. I know that you're from London. I did spend some time there.
Yeah.
I don't like London, but I'm
Yeah,
sure
well,
you could
yeah.
enlighten me about how nice it is. And it is the heart of FinTech as well. Obviously, a lot of really good stuff comes out there. And I know you have your own startup. I was wondering if you want to talk a little bit about Ohalo.
Yeah, sure. So, like you said, it's called Ohalo. Thanks very much for inviting us here today. So, essentially, what Ohalo is, we help banks maintain updatedness of their databases to different regulations, right? So, they have a lot of problems understanding which databases and which parts of their organizations apply to what apply to which regulations. So we use a blockchain to coordinate all that activity that happens in a very complex ecosystems of databases.
And I know that the fintech area in London is really ripe, and that there's a lot of stuff happening. Do you notice the difference here in Silicon Valley compared to London?
Yeah, I think one of the big themes is Brexit, of course, and so that's actually I think definitely a negative driver towards fintech. You have essentially a bunch of people that don't know what's going to happen next year or the year after, and so this lack of certainty I think is impacting the ecosystem a bit. That being said, of course, the reality is that there's still the massive incumbent ecosystem. There's still tons of startups that are working in that space, and it's a very vibrant ecosystem as well. Yeah.
Of course, London's always been a centre of finance, and it's so great that that there is a focus on the disruption of the finance community.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the banks are definitely participating sort of as members of the community now, and I think it's not so adversarial as it kind of is made out to be sometimes. Yeah, or as it was a few years ago. I think they're starting to try to take startups seriously. They understand that they need to change. Their essential businesses of having a big balance sheet is under attack, and they need to figure out how to make more money in a changing world, right?
So I was in Ireland when the crash happened, but was then moved to London, and I had to shut down my startup early 2009 because of the crash. And so I have a personal interest in serving the ecosystem here, because I would like to see big changes. And just another little aside, being a woman. And an older woman, I found when I was young and separated from my ex-husband, I had 3 little babies and working for myself, and could not get a credit card in Australia because of that.
Yeah.
And I think, I've spoken to women entrepreneurs now who are really successful, and of course they say, women always repay their debts more than men often.
Yeah.
And so having seen that side of the incumbent financial institutions, it's so great to be seeing them getting on board, and particularly more recently, I guess there was a reaction after the crash where anyone to do with a bank no one liked.
Yeah.
But now it seems the friendliness happening with the startup the fintech community and the banks.
Yeah, I think all over the world as well. I mean, you mentioned Australia. I think that they're actually a lot of we work with a bank out there, and a lot of those banks are progressing and really open to trying new things. The regulator as well is super, I think, innovative and is pushing new things forward that weren't really possible even 5 years ago, right? So all around the world, Australia, Singapore, Tokyo, all this stuff is happening in the fintech space. That's really exciting.
So when we got out from under our colonial rule,
we technically the Queen, yeah.
Well, yeah, but generally not. Now we're owned by Asia, and now they say that Australia is part of Asia. I mean, when I was visiting there last time, that's what everyone told me. So where do you see the future going as far as smart contracts and the blockchain? What's going to be possible in your vision?
Yeah, so still super early days. One of the bigger issues with smart contracts, obviously, and just blockchain technology in general, is scalability. So the Ethereum network right now has a transaction rate of about 20 transactions a second, which is minuscule compared to something that a big platform like Twitter, Facebook, even a bank, right? They need a lot more throughput than that. So that's one big issue is scalability. The other is security, right? So Solidity as a language is still a very new language, and it requires a lot of knowledge about how the core of the programming language works in order to write secure code. And so I think that going forward, building developer tools, making the language a little bit more robust is definitely going to be a key theme in the next few years.
I think on all levels the security issue has to be addressed, correct? We've had a couple of cybersecurity panels, and I want to have more because obviously every day there's more hacks and more problems. So the more tech we get, the more that's going to happen. So yeah. Thank you so much for coming. I think it's going to be a great panel. Thank you.
No, it was my pleasure. Thank you very much. Cheers.